In today's episode, we're going to talk about custom builds. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Same Page. I'm Linal Semajis, and this is my lovely wife.
Sarah Semajis.
And today we're very excited to have both Tessie and Jetro Constant with us. And I know Tessie and Jetro from way back. And then they have an interesting story about how they decided to do a custom build. So something that's really, like, at least for me, like unfamiliar. Like, I don't know a lot of people that have gone through that process. So before we dig into that, how about you just tell our audience a little bit about yourselves?
You go ahead. So my name is Jethro Constant. I'm the head physiotherapist at a fully integrated healthcare facility called Human 2.0. Like Leonard, I have a background in athletics, specifically football. Mm-hmm. So I spent a little bit of time in the trainer's room, and so it felt like a natural progression to go into the rehab services or the rehab field. And I really feel like it's my calling. I'm, I don't know what else to say, really. I'm a pretty simple guy, like to crack jokes, maybe too much sometimes. But I'm also a very curious person. I just like to know stuff about stuff. So, and almost to a fault, because when I do like to learn stuff about stuff, I can get obsessive about learning stuff.
Oh, you're admitting it. Well, okay.
Well, specifically
on camera.
Yeah. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
Hey,
right?
Yes.
When I had to learn how to get your engagement ring done, I got pretty obsessive about that, didn't I? Mm-hmm.
Well, here we go. Insert.
Yeah, he was, a jock to try to get, jock and a nerd, both ways, but trying to find an engagement ring, that was a little tough for you. So I get that. I get that.
But
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. I'm a homebody, and I like to hang out with friends from time to time, and that's me in a nutshell, really.
Nice.
So me, I'm his wife. He is my husband. And I'm a mother of 4. We have 4 little boys, 10, 8, 6, and 2. Full-time working in human resources, in management for the federal government. However, my passion has always been real estate. I grew up in a family that was in investments. And also property management / landlord to several properties. And so I grew up in that. I grew up alongside my father. We always call it MacGyvering. I know how to fix things because I've seen him do it over the years. And so I like to work with my hands as much as I work in the corporate world as well. And that's pretty much me. Lately, I've kind of gone into health and fitness a little bit more. So collaborating with a friend of mine in building a community that supports women of color and allies with their fitness goals. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. It looks like you have your hand in different pots, like lots happening on top of being a mother of 4. So
that's it.
Definitely busy. I can say that just the fact that you have seen your I think you said your dad, right? In real estate investing, and you mentioned property management. I think that comes in handy when you're a landlord, because sometimes, calling someone can cost you a couple of $100, but you go in, you know what to do. It could take you maybe like 15 minutes. So there's definitely ups and downs. I think that it's very useful to know these.
Absolutely. Things. It was.
So let's dive into it. Leonard told me that you guys did a custom build. First of all, why?
Why? Having a large family, we knew that we wanted more land for the kids. That was something we wanted for many reasons. I know for Jet, land was something that had almost an emotional significance to it. So definitely the dream started with that. And then we looked at whether or not it was going to be beneficial for us. And we knew that it would be if we could kind of double our equity or double the value so that we can leave for our kids and also use it as leverage to be able to finance projects on our own eventually. Nice. So that's why we decided to do it. Having seen what happens when you have a number of assets and, you want to go to the bank, often the bank or a lender, to be able to do projects. We knew that if we had a lot more assets on our side, that it would really help us with future plans.
Very smart, very smart. So then how about you guys, I know it's a lengthy process to say the least. So can you walk us through the process of doing a custom build?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had that first lot that we were looking at. Yeah. And unfortunately it didn't pan out, but everything happens for a reason. So we were first searching for a lot, identifying the location that we wanted, and then finally making sure that the covenants were okay. So there's some rules on certain lots as to what you can build, when you can build. Yeah. And at the time we were also thinking of, multi-family living for our parents that were getting older. They eventually told us we're too young. So we decided to continue and venture off on our own. Okay. But we were looking for a lot that was large enough to build a separate dwelling for my parents. Mm-hmm. Eventually we found another lot within a couple of months that was 1 acre where we are presently. And so that was the first step, acquiring the lot, and finding a bridge to be able to get that lot, because it's not easy to get a lot from the bank. You need to be able to almost pretty much do it cash. Yeah. And then after we got the lot, it was a matter of, okay, let's find a project management company or a builder to build for us. But because we wanted to be self-builders, we really narrowed it down to companies that would help us manage the project. So we essentially looked at about 26 companies, emailing them, asking very specific questions, and then narrowed it down to 6. From those 6, narrowed it down with reference checks on 6 of the properties that they had built, because we knew that this was going to be a marriage, essentially. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like we were with them for how many years now, babe? It was like 2.5, 3 years of liaising since 2018, approximately. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we selected that project management company, but at the same time, we recognized that we were self-builders, and so they were doing a lot for us, especially in terms of geotech, so the soil tests, everything you need to do before you build. Then they also provided us with plans. So we built out the house in terms of boxes. For us, the most important thing was efficiency, right? Mm-hmm. With the 4 little boys, we had our wish list of items we wanted. They helped us figure out the boxes, and the design really came afterwards. Mm. And I would say that's something I probably would say I would want to fix for next time. Like, I don't know about next time, because I mean, we're kind of tapped out right now. We're tired. But
Jethro's like,
we learned
what next time.
No, just like what? No. So I mean, really, we did that. We found a plan that worked for us, and then we started getting the permits through our project management company. And then eventually we did all of the excavation, the septic. So out here we're a septic as well as well water. So we had to look into that, that's new for us because we were city folk, right?
Right.
Suburbs. And then after we did that, what else came after that? It was all the different steps that you see, but we were involved in every single detail. So framing, getting the roof in, picking the shingles, picking what type of subfloor, picking every single window that we would have, what type of windows, looking at all the different companies. So the project management company would provide us with some vendors, but then we would also bring in our own, and then we would select the ones that we wanted. We went shopping a lot, but with COVID, we were limited. So that was interesting. It was tough.
Yeah. Definitely.
But eventually we made it through all of that, right? Then we had a lot of details in terms of the finishings, the interior finishings. We thought we were okay, the house is built, we're getting in, but that last portion takes quite some time. So after we did that, we were able to finally come closer to closing. So after inspection, so the city's always coming in and inspecting at every step. We're paying out the vendor, the different contractors at every step as well. And then finally we were in April. So it's been about 3 months. Yeah, we still have some work to do. We just got the sod in. It's 1 acre, so it was quite a lot. And then we have some interlock, some landscaping to do, but we're happy to just finally be in the house and be settled in. Yeah.
I think what was very interesting in this process is the fact that when Tess and I had our first home, we bought a Minto home. So there was a design center, right? So you just go in, they say, okay, there's red dots on those doors. You can't pick from any of those doors. You can only pick from those doors, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So then there was like a finite amount of things that you could choose from. Whereas here, there's a plethora. So it's stressful because you're like, I have every option available, but I have to think about cost. I have to think about availability, especially during COVID and everything. And in addition to that, like Tess mentioned, okay, this vendor did this, sign a check. This vendor did this, sign a check. Where you don't have to do that when you're building a home. You just pay.
Yeah,
your down payment. You give your down payment for the home, and then you have your mortgage, and that's it. Whereas here, like step by step by step by step, you see, oh, okay, well, this is what I have to pay for. This is what I have to pay for. Oh, I have to anticipate this. Oh, I thought it was going to be this, but it's actually this. So it was interesting to see the dichotomy between having it built with like I guess mainstream builder,
like
cookie cutter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things I know that we both struggle with, I say Tess probably struggled with a little bit more, is the fact that like there was no model home.
Okay.
So you really had to use you had to try and visualize what it was going to be, right? Because you can't just when a lot of times now with the builders, it's like, okay, let's go walk through this home, and this is what my home will likely look like with some slight differences. Whereas here, it's like I have boxes on a paper. What is it going to look like? So it was just very interesting to see the difference between the two processes in comparison.
Okay. Quick question. Did you guys stay on budget, over budget, or under?
Well, clearly we were. You good? You good, babe? You good? Okay, so we went over budget. We went over budget. Absolutely. COVID also knocked us a little bit further than we had hoped. Like essentially lumber, we know lumber doubled. It was horrible, but we were in right when COVID started in April. We broke ground right after COVID. We were lucky enough to continue to still have supply, while people, for example, for truss, the roof truss, everything, all the structure essentially that you build your roof with. Right now, they're building and they're waiting a year, or they're getting it shipped out of Atlantic region and bring it all the way in because there's none of that. So absolutely, we were over budget, but what helped is the market definitely did a big boost at the same time. For us, it was absolutely important for us to see an increase in the value, and because of the choices we made, and because we were able to make them before things got crazy, we were able to get a lot of quality into the home. It is definitely built with a lot more quality than the cookie cutter builders, so that we really are happy with. So originally we had hoped to really stay in a more modest bracket, and we definitely pushed it, thinking also that this would likely be the home that we would settle in for quite some time. We've also decided, at a certain point, there's certain things that we could have done differently. We did complete open concept with kids and everything, and COVID feels a little overwhelming, So there's still options. When you have land, you can build extensions, you can build, do more things in the outside. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to really get more nature. And we have a little mini forest in the back with the 4 boys. Like, it's really going to be a place that we can continue to grow. And should the parents be ready or whatnot, we do have plans to kind of build out a garage, a separate living area, if they need to stay with us. So we're happy.
But I do remember when, because I have a variety of patients that I'll see at work, and some of them are in the construction field. And I do recall, and maybe I just went over my head, but I remember them telling me, whatever your budget is, multiply by 1.5.
Yeah.
That I remember them saying that, and it's like, you're really trying to be meticulous and saying, oh, okay, 1.5. We're really going to try hard to stay on budget, but then you really do see the 1.5 in terms of budgeting. So, staying on budget with a custom home.
That was one of the things we heard a lot. You're gonna, what are you doing? You're gonna really have a lot of stress. The other thing we would hear is that this is the type of thing that could land you in divorce. Like you guys are gonna really be stressed. And we were okay. We were okay. We definitely had a lot of stress.
We're okay.
We're okay, right? We're okay.
We're good. We were okay, but I think COVID too. On top of that,
absolutely.
We were living with our parents, with our grandma. We were 9 in one house. I mean, it was a pretty good size house, but there's nothing that can replace that privacy. So we were definitely strained. And we had to really work through our communication and making sure that, the other understood, the needs. Our own, like, understanding.
Talk it out.
Are we there? Understanding our needs.
How do you really feel, Jet?
Yeah.
I think we also learned in that process. Like there was a lot of picking your battles.
Yes.
Right. Like there were a lot of things you realize. Like we've been together for what, 16, 17 years now. So 16. Okay, something like
12
that.
plus 4, yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff like we kind of, there'd be a bit of a, I don't know, tension initiated, and then it would just be like, forget about it. You know what I mean?
I think our marriage arrived at a certain point, which was very good for us right now. Is not to sweat the small stuff, to remember why we chose each other and that we balance each other. We're very, very different, but we have so many things in common as well. And I think his laissez-faire attitude was what I needed when I was extremely stressed. We do recognize, however, that because, I'm the one who really is a little bit more passionate about this, it became very much more so a project that I was managing a great deal. So that stress was a lot.
I can definitely appreciate what you're saying about like, it kind of reminds me of me and Len, where like sometimes I'm like, why don't you care more? And then like when the times I'm like super stressed and I'm like on him for like everything, and he's just like, whatever, like Sarah will just get like, it'll pass. Like it helps, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't handle myself in this situation.
No, we need that. We need that Zen, right?
Absolutely. So those times I like so appreciate, the fact that he's just like, like whatever, Sarah. And then you really appreciate like why you married the person. You're like, oh, stop, man. Yeah, you kind of remind me.
Well, like I tell all the time, I'm like, if you married someone that was just like you, you'd be dead.
Exactly. That would not work. That wouldn't work.
It'd be really too much. But I'm becoming more zen, I'm more zen now.
You're welcome.
The nature, it's not you.
You're welcome.
It's not all you. Okay. Some of it is.
I love it. I love that we're touching on relationships as well. And I think you answered a question that we were going to have about the relationship. But I sort of want to bring it back a little bit to the land, because just myself, I don't know much about that. So you mentioned that you almost have to buy it cash, right? What are the other options if you don't have the cash to buy land?
So one of the things that we were really grateful for is securing private lending. And so if you are able to secure private lending at a reasonable rate, because there's all kinds of lenders out there, and it can get really intense. And if you compare it to the bank, one of the advantages that we found is, number one, the flexibility, right? So if you're able to secure a private lender, and there are all kinds, you could walk up to somebody that has businesses and offer them the opportunity. Don't even hesitate to do that, because it's possible that they may want to do it. They might get more money out of this opportunity, and it benefits both parties. So the flexibility that we had with the private lending was so much better than what we would have with a bank that had, first of all, limitations on borrowing to buy land. So the bank wants to be able to see that you're able to secure the land. And so there are some pretty big safeguards on being able to get a loan to purchase that. So we knew that. We went a complete different way, and that allowed us to be able to say, hey, we already purchased it, everything is here. And the next step was just to be able to finance the construction. And with the private lender, we were able to make sure that we weren't waiting on the bank for the draws. You do a conventional construct mortgage, you are waiting on the bank for the money to be provided to you, available to you. And it's not necessarily when your contractor needs that money.
Right.
And it's not the full percentage either. So there are so many limitations with that. And although we were set up to do that, we had prepared ourselves to do that and budgeted for that, we were able to find another opportunity. We're really thankful for that because it's definitely made all the difference for us.
Yeah, I think a friend of yours, they were doing a flip and they had a construction loan, and the bank only finances like a percentage at a time, but they need to see that percentage completed. And it's the bank is like, well, no, it's only 50% complete. And then the contractor is like, no, it's 60% or vice versa. I can't, but either way.
Yeah.
And they won't finance until they see, you know, what like whatever they need to see. So it does definitely allow more flexibility when you have a lender. So I'm glad you guys were able to a private lender.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're thinking, you know, when you're at the mercy of the bank, when you have these real estate goals, you're at the mercy of the bank, and the bank is telling you when things are complete or not. It's really frustrating, and you know, we want to free ourselves from that. And stick it to them. So we're getting ready. We're getting ready. We're done. We're so done with that. And we've heard of stories, you know, even my family has dealt with that as well, where it's like, it's my money. I want to be able to pull it out and do whatever I want to do.
Absolutely.
And you get a lot of
red tape,
a lot of pushback. Yeah. So we need to be able to free ourselves from that.
Well, think about it, right? Like, you know, it's not to, I know, don't worry, I'm not ranting about the monetary system, but it's true. But it's true what she just said. Like, if you wanted to, you know, if you want to buy something, and then the bank says, well, why do you want to buy this? They're telling you what you want, like, it's your money. And they're telling you, well, why do you need to take this much money out? It's like, because it's mine.
Yeah.
So like Tess said, you know, any opportunity you could have to bypass the bank in any way is beneficial, because then you also have more independence and more freedom, like real freedom. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're right there. It's all about getting that freedom. But before you have that freedom, like, you need to educate yourselves on other, you know, other options, right? Because people are so inclined to go with the mainstream options, and they have no idea that there's like a handful of other options that are available to them. So how did you? Was it because of your, you know, kind of your real estate background that you were able to know those other options, or how did you?
Yeah, we definitely did our research as much as possible, but I think growing up in real estate definitely helped us with that too. You know, we knew that there was some creativity available to us, and so we wanted to tap into that because we saw that we were going to have too many problems by doing it the conventional way. So I think, honestly, you know, growing into it, but also for our kids, we're trying to show them that there are different ways, different avenues to everything, right? So the knowledge. So as much as Jet is always saying, you know, he's interested in things, it's not a bad thing. That curiosity is what provides us with further opportunities, because it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that's possible. This process, as difficult as it was, we've learned so much. And so now we're ready to tackle our real estate projects with a completely different view, because we've seen things go wrong. And we've also seen the opportunities. We've seen contractors and the things that they do to get to where they need to be. And we want to now exploit that and use it for ourselves. So I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but what happens is by living out this experience, you just naturally end up absorbing that knowledge. Like it just comes out of you at a certain point, and you don't even know where you got it from, you know? So it's good.
I think that there's no better school than, you know, going through something. So the school of hard knocks, I guess, right? As much as people can tell you, you know, custom builds are this and that, you're gonna have to, but when you're in it, you really acquire that knowledge. And I think that goes for anything, right? We went through a huge renovation and there's definitely things we would have done differently.
Yes.
But now, you know, yes, a lot of
A
things.
lot of things.
Yeah.
But now we feel like we can tackle, you know, a full-on flip, you know, if we wanted to, right? Yeah, there's definitely a lot that's absorbed through the process. Last thing, very technical, that I really want to ask, and that's only because I'm very curious about this. So when you get the land, or when you find the land, you said there's like geo testing. Am I using the correct
Yeah,
word?
like geological testing to make sure the land is appropriate for you to build on, to make sure that there's water. It's usually done prior to the fact that you've purchased it, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we came into a subdivision. So the person who purchased this was making sure that, okay, when we sell it, we can at least give them a little reassurance that it's done. However, once you buy it, you still want to do another test to make sure it's okay. So we did need to get all kinds of technicians on site to make sure that this land was appropriate. One of the issues, like, for example, you know, in the Orleans area in Avalon, even though we are out in more east, in the Orleans area, there were issues with swamplands, right? So can you imagine, you buy land and you think you can build your dream home on it, and then you have significant issues. And that's what Minto, the developer, ended up having. So with us here, no issues whatsoever. It was great. We have a lot of water, which was different for us too, because, you know, you're not paying that city water. That we have 4 boys, so you can imagine the city water bill. So that was definitely an advantage to us, but it was uncharted territory for us to have to figure that out. That's why a project manager that was more well versed on all those technical aspects was able to kind of point us in the right direction. Because if we had started to Google it, I don't think we would have understood truly all of the aspects that needed to be checked off, as well as like how you build, you know, how deep you need to build the water table, how high you need to build the house. We anticipated that we could have issues with flooding, so we built our house higher up, and that's a significant issue. Can you imagine you build your whole house and then it starts flooding because of that? So a number of the houses on the street, because there's a couple of them that are now being built, realized after their plants were done, oh my God, there's a lot of water here. We need to bring it up 25K. That's another 25, like just like that. You have an instant increase to your cost of build. So it's great to have specialists on site or on hand to be able to help you with those items. Yeah.
As much as it may cost to pay those people, it'll probably cost you a lot less now than it would cost you in the future to like remedy these.
Exactly. Money well spent.
Yeah, because we have a friend of ours who actually works on a house too, who's a mason, and he was saying, for example, like something like a foundation, if they don't get it right, he's like, repairing it costs more than putting it in the first place. So you have to get the land around it, tested so that you can figure out, okay, can it take this type of foundation so that you don't have problems later on.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's next for you guys? Do you guys already have an idea in terms of real estate?
Well, yeah, we're always thinking, we're always wanting to expand. We definitely would love to add more doors to our portfolio. Right now, we have a triplex. We have this home. We put our energy into this for about 3 years. We decided we would take a break. We have some property management that we're doing. So we're thinking about whether or not we want to turn that into a company and further develop it so that we can have a company in place to take care of the future properties that we will have. So that's where we're looking right now in terms of business development, as well as always looking at deals. So we were just looking at, I know I was telling you now that we had a couples meeting yesterday. So, with the 4 kids, we need to set an agenda and have time aside to be able to figure out what it is that we're doing and make a plan. And so as we were crunching the numbers, we're still undecided, but we need to see whether or not it would be a feasible, the deal that we were looking at is actually feasible for us, or if we want to wait and maybe do something else. So that's where we are now, but we're taking a little bit of a break. It's summertime. We just moved in. We're not done construction here, but definitely in the future, real estate is our retirement plan, is the legacy we want to leave to our kids as well. So we absolutely plan on expanding that. And we have renovations to the triplex that are planned for the next month. So I guess we're not resting yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is that triplex?
It's on the Hull side, so I guess Gatineau side, close to the government building. So it's
nice.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. With COVID, we'll have to reassess. We've still been great. No vacancy, no issues at all. And we were going back and forth on whether or not we wanted to sell it, but there is definitely potential there. So we figured let's put a little bit more investment into it, and then increase the rent, get that cash flow even higher, and then be able to. One of the things my father always said was that renovate, refinance, reinvest, right? So the 3 R's, and always trying to go in there, see what the property can bring you, pull it out, buy another one, pull it out, buy another one. And that's how he grew his real estate. And as much as he was a little more conservative, we're willing to be a little bit more bold, because we see the advantages that it has, right?
And the thing is, right now we're we're chilling out because of all the building and everything that we've been doing, but we're also we're still also very cognizant of the market. So it's kind of like, okay, if someone says, oh, it's a seller's market, it's like, okay, you sell and then you're going to reinvest in what? Because everything is so high, right? So it's like, okay, you gotta I say this all the time, it's very cliched, I know, but I always say play chess, not checkers. So like it looks really nice off the bat, but then let's say you get a check for this place you just sold, and then you have a huge mortgage because things are so expensive. So it's like
crunching the numbers.
You're crunching the numbers before you pull the trigger, which Tess reminded me is sometimes you have to crunch the numbers like on the spot and quickly because everything is happening.
That deal is gonna go.
Deals are always happening very quickly. As I'm sure you guys know, like there's 24, 48, 72 hours, like that can make all the difference. When you're trying to make a deal, right? So keeping your eyes on things, but
exactly. And those things, just like everything else, it's all with practice and with time. And experience, you'll be able to analyze deals, because in all honesty, you should be able to do a deal, or at least be able to analyze a deal on a napkin. It should be a couple of things, like the 1% rule, the 50% rule, I think also the 3% rule.
Expensive.
There's the cap rate. There's a couple of things that they need to knock out, and then once those are good, at least they'll at least give you like kind of like a guideline as far as, okay, now I should probably dig deeper if it's something that I actually want to pursue. So at least you're able, so within minutes you can be like, this is something that I'll pursue, or this is something I'll just pass on.
Calculating the cap rate at least would give you that reassurance right away.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that we'll definitely get a little bit more well versed in doing it as we're looking at more deals. We've been really slower on that. But I mean, time is of the essence. Like, we really need to be able to crack when we see something and move. And really move quickly.
And one thing our coach also told us too is that you kind of want to be quick when it comes to putting that property under contract, but then you want to slow it down when it comes to doing your due diligence. So you have to kind of play that game a little bit, where it's like
that makes sense.
You want that nice balance between both.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know you guys have been quite adventurous in getting those deals, right? You acquired quite a bit.
Speaking of adventurous, like, we're putting this very bold offer today.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna send that off. And honestly, like, it has like everything in it. There's like vendor take back, there's like a cash back, and it's like we're dropping the price as well. You know what I mean? So it's like we're being very bold, but at the same time, we're like, this is our second offer, because we initially give this person the first offer, and they denied it, but they've been calling us back like for the past couple of weeks. So
when they do that,
you go.
You
showed your cards. So
my money's gone now, so I had to drop.
Oh my gosh!
That's exactly it.
Nobody's telling them not to do that. It's just not good. It's your game. It's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe off air we'll talk about more about the details and all that stuff. But it's just one of those things where it's like, like, yeah, like, why would you show your cards like that and all that stuff? So it's like,
It's okay.
that being said, you know, like what we offered
Show me what
originally
you
is
got.
no longer on the table, and here's our new offer.
Right, either way, we'll talk about that.
It's like that was last week.
That
Yeah.
was last week's offer.
Yeah.
Exactly it. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Guys, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think
Yeah.
our viewers will get a lot of information from this podcast. I know for myself, I learned a lot from just the way you guys explain things. Every time I talk to someone, I'm like, we must explore this.
Yeah.
So I'll probably dig a little deeper and see like what land, we
Yeah.
can look at and things
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
If our viewers want to reach out and ask more questions, how can they do so?
Yeah, we're always open to that. I guess through IG handles, this is what the people are using. Is
You're making it sound so
I know, I always say it like that. Lioness Life and Homes. So Lioness Life and Homes. That's my IG handle. Yours?
Oh, mine's Jcon the THA physio
All
on
right.
IG. Yeah.
We'll
So,
be sure.
and then we also have at Tess and Jet. Tess and Jet.
Yeah, we're gonna dust that off now that 3 years have passed.
Yeah.
That's our joint project.
Yeah. So we'll be venturing into that. So stay tuned on that front as well.
Tess
So
and Jet.
it's been so long we don't even know.
Yeah.
Tess
That's what it is.
and
We'll
Jet.
just put the other ones and then
Yeah. Find us.
that's
We're not hard to
You know what, guys? Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us. I really like, obviously, like, not only that you guys are bold enough to take on this project, but also the fact that you guys have like worked on your relationship, you know what I mean, and challenged yourselves and made those sacrifices. And despite that, because you guys are still standing, because going through that is
Absolutely.
not easy,
yeah.
you know. So don't take that for granted whatsoever.
Awesome.
No, we don't take it for granted. We don't take it for granted.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And as always, don't forget to live your truth.